Zoom and boom, everyone. It is January 20th, 2020. Fittingly, 20 plus 20 is 40. This is, according to Spiky Dash, episode number 40. Holy blank. 40 episodes. Yes, I just made a mess. I know, but I will clean that up later. Oh my gosh. 40 episodes. I genuinely did not think that I could make it go this long, but yet it's too much. I had a lot more confetti than I thought, but here we are. 40. Yes, Joshua. Yes. I'm glad you got on time right there to see the confetti drop. Yes, 40 episodes. Again, and there's still more in here. So there might be some more dropping throughout the show, but welcome. Spiky Dash here with you. 40 episodes. I genuinely did not think that I could make this go that far, especially with the show being, with MLP being in hiatus, but I've amazingly still finding plenty of content out there. So the fandom is not dead. It is not dying anytime soon. And that's a good thing, because that means that we can keep this going. So yeah, that's a very good thing. But yeah, 40 episodes. I'm so glad. And again, just shout out wise, I am so thankful. It's a little loud. I am so thankful again for, and I can't say it enough, but I am thankful for those of you that continually watch, that give the thumbs ups, that subscribe. I do appreciate you guys. And again, those especially that stick around, because I saw another update video from another YouTuber that I subscribed to today, and again, you just mentioned the fact that when you're trying to balance between your YouTube quote unquote life and your work/social lives, it can be a challenge. It can be very, very difficult. And I'm trying to do a better job of balancing both. I'm working on that. But I'm still trying my hardest to provide, the streams and the content, because I enjoy doing it. I don't mince words when I say that. I genuinely do enjoy doing these. ATSD now has basically become like the backbone of this channel. Like I don't want it to flame out. I don't want it to end. For the longest time, it was the Fantasy Football Stock Report, and I had to end that because I got so burnt out in preparing for it. There was just so much prep involved, and it was really just wearing me down. Where I couldn't do that anymore. So now that I have things more spread out, between ATSD and Tracking the Madness and whatever else I can, come up with, like the Super Bowl party stream or what have you, or the other, live events, like the National Championship or what have you. It's nice to have that while, the shows and while MLP's in hiatus, BattleBot's in hiatus. Now, granted, if and when those do come back, I will obviously keep doing reactions for those, because again, I enjoy it. I'm doing stuff that I enjoy. And I'm thankful that there are a lot of you that enjoy it as well. So that is my goal going forward, and that's going to be the goal on this channel for as long as it keeps going. So as long as you guys keep liking it and I keep enjoying it, which probably isn't going to change anytime soon, then I intend to keep pushing on. So that's really my goal. But yeah, 40 episodes. I'm so thankful. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm blessed, and I can't really say anything more on that. So just shout out to you, all of you that sub, all of you that like. Again, I can't say it enough. Thank you. Also, real quick, just birthday shout outs, as I posted on Twitter today. Happy birthday to one of my mascot friends, Nordy from the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are actually playing a home game tonight against the Florida Panthers, and Nordy invited a lot of his mascot buddies up there. I think Stanley from the Florida Panthers actually is there as well. Bailey from the Kings is there as well. So that's going to be a fun time tonight. So just quick shout out there. And Nordy did retweet and like my tweet back, which is always very cool when I get responses back from mascots. So the agenda for this episode, kind of half and half, although more geared toward Pony in this episode, but a couple life things as well. We got a couple more Pony Soapboxes from EQD to read, although there is an update on that I will also mention as well after I read the two recent ones. I'm even getting confetti between my toes. This is crazy. I don't know if I'll ever do an intro like that again. That was kind of nuts. Like I said, I have a lot to clean up here. But I'll have Pony Soapboxes. I'll have my thoughts on Pony Life, Pony Life update as well. A convention that failed for the 4th time. Yeah, believe it or not, that's a story. That's a thing. So I will share my thoughts on that. Believe it or not, we are nearly 2 months away from Winnie City 2020. So there's a little bit of news on that. I will share my thoughts on the guest of honor survey on that, and I'll have a couple life experiences that I had this past month in December as well. Also, so I will definitely talk about that as well. I will say this: this weekend is, as I'm sure that maybe some of you are aware, is NHL All-Star Weekend. However, yeah, Joshua, with the House of Hospital 4 times a week, I honestly don't know. It's a long story. Like, there is a lot of history with that. So I don't know how you can fail 4 times coming with a convention, but yeah, there's a lot of story on that I will talk about. I will say, though, again, it is NHL All-Star Weekend this weekend, and again, I had talked about previously about doing the live stream during the skills competition and the game. That, of course, though, is going to hinge on my work schedule. I've not seen if it's out yet for well, actually, what's today? Today's the 20th. I might have to see if my schedule's out for that week, because lately I've been working nights on the weekends, and if that is the case, I will not be able to do a live stream for NHL All-Star Weekend. And I kind of feared that because of the fact that I did the National Championship stream, kind of not as a replacement per se, but something some sports stream that I could do, that if in the event that I would be able to do All-Star Weekend was kind of a nice thing to do instead. So I did that in a way to kind of, in the event that I wouldn't be able to do All-Star Weekend because I work, then it was a nice add-on thing to do as a replacement. So there you go. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I feared. I work both Saturday and Sunday night. So I don't know. If there's a way, maybe I can DVR it and maybe do like a stream like after the fact, just to like share my thoughts as I'm watching it. I don't know if anyone be interested in that or not, but maybe not the skills competition, maybe the actual game. I'll probably do that. So yeah, I might DVR the actual game, maybe not the skills competition, because that's really, really long. But I might still maybe like DVR the actual All-Star game itself, the 3-on-3 competition, and do that. So. Now, as always, I will be following, of course, the Mascot Showdown. I will be following the events of that all weekend. I won't really do a video on it or anything, but I'll definitely be tweeting about it. So I will definitely be, keeping aware of the Mascot Showdown. I'm pretty confident that the Western Conference is going to win this year because it's in St. Louis, and usually and per history and I guess quote unquote tradition, the host conference and the host mascot wins, the title and MVP. So yeah, I got a pretty good feeling the West is going to win and Louis is going to win MVP. So just saying, just a hunch. All right, so let's talk Pony Soapboxes. Actually, so we're going to do the 2 from the last couple weeks, although there's an update on EQD that says until Pony Life, they will not be posting any more. So the one coming on this Tuesday is going to be the last one until quote unquote Gen 4.5 premieres. So whenever that may be. So there's only going to be one more, because really they haven't really gotten a whole lot it's not that there's not been a whole lot of topics. There's still plenty of topics, but they're being submitted by the same people. So they're not really getting a big variety, if you will, of soapbox content. So that's why they're ending it for now until Pony Life starts, which I get, which makes sense. Again, we're in that in between point. We're in the hiatus. We're until that premieres. So that's understandable. So I totally get it. I totally understand. Then the question for me then becomes, well, again, what am I going to put in that spot in the meantime? I don't know. Maybe I was thinking, maybe coming up with some my own, maybe the thoughts and scenarios, maybe stuff that I could have submitted on there before, but didn't really get the chance to submit, my own possible scenario thoughts. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, Joshua, I can't wait to see what they do with it either. I'm excited for it, but again, I don't know. I hesitate about it because, again, the fact that the feedback has been I don't want to say overwhelmingly negative, but at least maybe skewed toward the negative but I think it's because of that people just haven't been used to the design or the concept or what have you. I still think it's great they got the original, voice actresses to still play the roles. I think that's awesome. But yeah, we'll see what it does. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. But of course, it comes a little bit of trepidation based on the feedback that I have seen. All right, so let's see. But yeah, so the soapbox for this week is going to be the last wrong, or the last one. I should say, not the last wrong, the last one. I guess I read that. I didn't see anything wrong with the animation itself. It was more the toys I had a problem with. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. The animation, the chibi style animation, it's very different. Of course, it's obviously very different from what Gen 4 was, and we know that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, the toys, I think a lot of people share in that belief that there's, they just look very different. It wasn't there there was a whole set of that, all of them were unicorns. That was kind of odd. I didn't get that either. So kind of weird. Okay. This was the soapbox from 3 weeks ago, technically. So let's see. Bad design in Pony Life and why FIM was better. Speaking of. How Kieran's made a success out of Friendship is Magic. That's going to be where I disagree on that side of the argument. Feeling peaky keen is not about religion. It's about science. Okay. What if each main 6 led a season? Ooh, I like that one. Okay. I like where that one's going. That would be cool. And can't join them, beat them. That one. Okay. That one just screams. It's very open to interpretation. All right. Bad design in Pony Life and why FIM was better by Rumi. Friendship's Magic has been over for 3 months now, or half a year if you watch the leaks. Despite this, I still find myself going online every day, desperately seeking new content starring the pony model. OCs, main 6 stuff, background ponies, and everything else that is that overall form. I think a lot of people could share in that, absolutely. What is it about the pony model that makes everything about this so appealing? I suppose I never actually watched the show for the characters themselves or the writing. It was always about the style. Again, nothing wrong with that. I don't know if there will ever be anything else like it in an era where cartoons seem to be going for ugly and quick rather than appealing art. A lot of people I've seen, even on these soapboxes, are saying there'll be nothing ever like that, ever again. This is what set Friendship is Magic apart and why I think Pony Life will be a colossal failure. It looks like every other forgettable cartoon series out there. What do companies have against just having appealing-looking characters? Why do they need to have ridiculous mouths and stupid-looking bodies? I get that it's a cartoon and it's supposed to be a little wacky, but you don't need to make that the default. Friendship is Magic had plenty of crazy and zany expressions and scenes. I just wish more cartoon designers realized that. Okay, yeah, and I get that. I can see the perspective from that. I mean, it's a big change. Okay, it is clearly And, there are some people just, I don't like change. See, more confetti falling out. Yeah, it's those which raise their fist and go, I don't like change. I don't deal with change well. And I'm in some instances, some areas of my life, I'm the same way, because in some areas of my life, I'm a very routine person. And I don't relate to change well in some areas. So it can be very hard and very difficult. Thank you, Joshua and Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie approves the confetti. I'm sure she does. But no. Yeah. It's a challenging thing that when routines can get thrown off and change happens, and it can be tough. But, as I always said, as I said after Gen 4 ended, I'm going to give anything else after that its fair shot, and I'm still holding myself to that. I'm not, I'm going to give it its fair shake. Does it look zany and different? Yes. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. But again, the fact that it still maintains, like I said, the original voice actresses, and even though it's taking place, it's focusing me like in a different part of Equestria. I think that's fine. I think there's still gonna be something good coming out of it. Yeah, it's quirky. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, okay. What's gonna be the deal with these like magic potions that are in the show? Okay, yeah, it's different. What else was different when we first heard of it? Friendship is magic. Like everyone thought it was different. Like it was different from the previous generations. Stuff is different, but it's okay. Certainly we all have our opinions, and yeah, we might. And this person certainly has his or her opinion, and that's fine. But some people just don't respond to change. And again, once the show starts airing, I think the perception is going to be out there of who's going to stick by it, and then who is going to discard it, or in our case, put it in the bin provided. There will be a clear. I don't want to use the word divide because it seems like a very negative word, but there's going to be. There's going to be the fandom that's just, I guess, split on the issue, I guess is what I really want to say. There's going to be some that really, really like it because it's still pony, and there's going to be others that say, nah, I think I agree with this person. It's going to be forgotten. So we shall see. I really want to give it its fair shake. So that's the way I see it. Certainly, again, this person entitled to the opinion. I just think it's someone that really just does that, isn't really like, really wants to hold on to Gen 4. And again, nothing wrong with that. And isn't willing to, accept the change right away. So I totally get it. This one I don't agree with. How Kieran's made a success out of Friendship is Magic. Yeah. If you guys know me and have watched ATSD and watched and followed my Twitter and know the story of what happened after I watched the Sounds of Silence episode, immediately the night of after it aired, I had a nightmare that I certainly will not forget for a long time. Where long story short, there's Neric surrounding me saying, why do you not like us? And then it's me and a Neric trapped in a cage, and we're falling into a void of darkness. Like it was complete and utter nightmare fuel. So I have not liked the Kierans ever since, because it just brings back up that nightmare memory. So so this one I'm going to disagree with pretty strongly, but let's read it anyway. When season 8 premiered, and actually there's no author here, so I don't know if the person wanted to remain anonymous, which is fine. Yeah, Joshua. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was terrible. Like I was literally like probably tossing and turning like multiple times that night, because it was just so vivid in my mind. And my dreams are very vivid, but that / nightmares, dreams or nightmares are both very vivid. But that one just sticks with me because of just how insane it was. But we'll still read it. When season 8 premiered around a year ago, one of my absolute favorite episodes, other than the finale, was episode 23, Sounds of Silence. The mythological creature of Kieran was always uncharted territory for many shows, very complex with origin, but the staff over at Hasbro, they never shied away from introducing new creatures and species like the Breezies, for instance. Well, see, I liked the Breezies. The Breezies were cute. I liked the Breezies. Who can't like the Breezies? I mean, I'm sure there's some that don't like the Breezies, but to me, they're cute. The way that they did it always reminds me of pure joy yet moral values. Autumn Blazes Village to the younger audience below, and the musical number was one yet humorous and compelling at the same time. Sorry, I found the musical number annoying, kind of like Autumn Blaze. Many shows grasped upon brief dialogue in between, but this episode took it up a notch with providing direct links between the impacts of one who is different, who attempts to break the boundaries of her society in order to rejoice her village back together after being ostracized from it. It was always charming to see the dozens of Kieran fan art, mainly Autumn Blaze and the memorable Cinder Glow. The fandom then took Kieran and expanded upon these limits with fan fictions and art galore. I'll never forget the day MLP Gen 4 is revolutionized in such a unique way. Again, you like Sludge's song better? That episode got such a bad rap. Like Father Knows Beast, yeah, it was a painful episode to watch. But yes, I agree. Sludge's song was much better. I do agree, actually. I do. I actually do agree with that point, Josh, 100%. Now, don't get me wrong. The way that this person explains the episode, like the moral behind it, that's 100% perfect. And I don't disagree with that at all. I don't. I did like the moral of the episode. Absolutely. That's all well and good. I just don't like the characters. I didn't like Autumn Blaze. I found her annoying. And the funny thing was like I read like the few days after like the movie and stuff, like many found like Princess Skystar or even Silverstream annoying because they were so talkative. But no, Autumn Blaze took it to a whole nother level. Like I just found her so annoying. And the song annoying. I'm sorry. And then of course seeing the Neric and then leading to that nightmare. It was just a downward spiral at that point. It wasn't a stairway to heaven. It was a stairway to somewhere else. It was a stairway of descent, is what it was. It was just no. I couldn't relate. But so I will give this person credit. I can understand how they impacted you and the episode. Yeah, that's why everyone's out their own opinion. That's why that platform is there. All well and good. But for me, the Kierans will never be my cup of tea. They won't. I'm sorry. So not my thing. Feeling pinky keen is not about religion. It's about science. First off, whoever said it was about religion, that's new to me because I'm usually up on the religious stuff. and then tying it to science. Okay, this is by Energetic Writer. For some reason, a lot of people think that Feeling Pinky Keen episode is about religious faith and being a friend with someone who has faith. And believing in things does indeed mention at the end of the episode, but those people fail to notice important nuance. In all religious stories, faith comes first. I agree with that. And plot follows the credo. By believing, one sees, which means that only after a protagonist starts believing in something happens as proof of that faith. However, in FPK, it's the opposite. The story starts with Twilight witnessing Pinky sense. In fact, she continuously sees all the evidence of Pinky's ability to predict things throughout the whole episode. The problem Twilight struggles with is that she can't explain something that she clearly sees. Seeing is believing. That's the credo of those who actually are against blind faith. It means that if you see something, you shouldn't dismiss it simply because you can't understand it. Like scientists, to explore new ideas and researching unknown phenomena without knowing about their properties. Okay. There are lots of examples when scientific theories that dominated for centuries were discovered to be incorrect or at least inaccurate. And each of such examples started with a new phenomenon that contradicted the established paradigm. That's why true scientists never dismisses something simply on the grounds of that contradicting his or her personal worldview. And so shouldn't Twilight. That was the moral of the story. Wow, that's really digging deep into that episode. Wow, that's really good. Kudos, Energetic Writer. That's really digging deep into that episode. I think that's a really good comparison. By believing one sees. So when they start believing something as proof of the faith, so they see it. So then you think in turn they believe it. But then Twilight actually witnesses it. She sees the evidence of the ability to predict, but then yet she can't explain it. Even though she's clearly seeing it in front of her, Twilight's still thinking, how is that even still even possible? She's thinking about the actual action itself and not just believing it by seeing it. And it's more science than religion. That's really good. It's amazing when I read some of these that I completely get a different thought about an episode or a character or something like that, which is why my panel last year at Winnie City was about, changing perspectives and having perspective on things. This is completely kind of on that ground, because I never would have looked at it either way until that was explained. So that's why I enjoy reading these. So very good. Yeah, very good, Energetic Writer. That's really good. Surprised they didn't bring the Kieran back. It seems weird introducing new species, never use them again. Yeah, I mean, but can't we say that for like a lot of the characters? Like they're just there for a one-off, and then they don't get a more of a story arc. So yeah, it is weird to do that, Joshua. I agree with that, but that happened a lot, and heck, I mean. Prime example, the Student 6. We only had the Student 6 for 2 seasons. And even though, some of them, I think, got more screen time than others, do we really have a complete story arc for all of them? That's debatable. That's up for debate. Although I'm sure that, there's the Feats of Friendship comic, which I do want to get and read, by the way. I really want to get that and see those. So that's still up for debate, but there's a lot of characters that were introduced that I think really we could know a lot more about, and we really didn't get that opportunity. So you could say that for a lot of characters from the show, for sure. So, but yeah, Joshua, and that's a great argument. Yeah, I applaud Energetic Writer for putting that out there, because that's really good. That's really good. That's why I love these. What if each main 6 led a season? Oh, Flare Gun 45 posts a lot of these soapboxes. So this is and again, he or she's probably one of my favorite ones, because puts out some really good ones. MLP, but each season focuses on one specific member of the main 6 leading. Like, instead of just every season focusing on mostly Twilight, how about the rest of the friends get leading focuses within the main story arcs too? For example, we get 1 season for Pinky, 1 for Rarity, 1 for AJ, etc. Instead of having each season focus on Twilight may be the protagonist, but it might work better. Each of the main 6, plus Spike, had their seasons where they're the main focus, and Twilight and the others just heavily influences them to reach their victories. Instead of it always having Twilight be the one to solve every problem, like what season 6 was for Starlight, except for some reason she's not considered a main character. And I disagree with that strongly. I mean, there was always this debate about whether or not, like, was Spike the 7 or was Starlight the 7? Like that's a heated debate too. So, or a Starlight 8 and Spike is still 7. Like that's a heated debate too. So I don't know. I'm torn on that one. It makes the group seem more like they all revolve around Twilight, and that's not how a real friendship group works. I agree. They're supposed to all revolve around each other. Yeah, that's, again, great points. Although I don't know if that would be like overload, like having 1 season for each of the main characters. I don't know if that'd be like, I mean, obviously it'd be more Pony, which is great, but I don't know if that'd be like overkill or burnout. Like, I don't know. That's kind of the drawback of that. So it's a good idea in hindsight, but I don't know if that would have been like a great thing to do. I think each of them throughout the show like had their moments. Yeah, Joshua, I agree. I agree that's another thing too, that we get tired of seeing the same character so often. Not that wouldn't be a bad thing for more Pony, but again, it would just get to that point of becoming a tired thing. I think each of them had equal opportunity throughout the series to have their highlighted moments, I think. And I think there was plenty, there were plenty of Rarity episodes. There were plenty of Rainbow Dash episodes. There were plenty of Fluttershy episodes, Rarity episodes. You get where I'm going from. So there were plenty of moments for each of them to shine bright and really expand on their story arc in their own way. So yeah, it's a decent concept on the surface, but it has more risks than pros, I think. And you'd like to see Pistachio at Fashion Week Rarity. That actually would have been pretty cool. Yeah, I agree with that, Joshua. Yeah, there's so many characters that really could have gotten more development, I think. But you can only do so much within the span of time. Although we'll see what season 10 does in the comics too. Because again, the comics is kind of expanding the universe a bit too, so we'll see what they do as well. And finally, Player Gun's got another one here with Can't Join 'Em, Beat 'Em. I know it sucks that even though a large majority of us can make better ideas for FIM than writers of the latter half of the show. Ouch. Burn much. But when you think about it, you're just adding to someone else's work. Don't you think you might have the potential to do something more than that? So what, a lot of our ideas didn't come true? You know, there's a simple solution to this. Make your own show. I just read my article on Soapbox 35 about turning fan fiction into original stories, which is something I did. And with all the years I'm working on this story, I feel it could do better if it was its own show. With all the learning I did with writing fanfics and learning from all the mistakes FIM made, this show could really surpass FIM. And you know what? You can do that too. Fanfics are great and all, but they don't have that confirmed canon feel. Now, if you made your show with your own universe, you make your own canon where you're in complete control of the universe and the story canon. That is, as long as you work independently without some big company poking their nose in your work. Cough, Disney. Man, he's going all out here. You know, you make your own show. You make your own fandom with cons and fanfics and fan art and Rule 34s, and who knows? Your show can inspire others, just like Lauren's show here inspired us. Even if our shows do surpass FIM, we wouldn't be going that far if it wasn't for FIM, so can't forget that. My show definitely wouldn't exist without FIM. So thank you, Lauren, writers, and DHX. Hey, more power to you. If you want to do it, if you think you can put it together and do it, go for it. I mean, I'm not going to be against anyone who wants to follow a dream and go after an idea. No, by all means, if you think that you can put something together that would potentially surpass FIM, by all means, go for it. I'm not going to dissuade that at all. So yeah, that's pretty well said. I can't top that. That's pretty well said. All right. This is last week's before this last one this week. Now there's a big red blaring disclaimer here in the top of this one, so this one might be a little bit interesting. It says, note, as I have said in the past, the soapbox post is for anyone to say anything pony as long as it is safe for work and readable. This includes controversial opinions like that piece in this one. Ooh, boy. Obviously, none on staff agree with said opinion, but that was the original idea for the weekly soapbox post. For now, yes, the in and below is controversial, but that has always been allowed in soapbox. So, okay, so there's going to be one in here that's going to be, ooh, boy. So be prepared. So for in here, the main flaws of Trixie Lulamoon throughout her character development. Ooh, that's interesting. Fan fiction does it better. Does what better? That's interesting too. FIM is not for left-wing politics, but against it. I'm wondering if that's the controversial one. You think? And leaving the fandom. Oh gosh, this one, buckle up. This one is going to be a doozy. All right. Although it starts innocent enough. The main flaws of Trixie throughout her character development. And this is anonymous. Trixie was always a villainous character at the start of FIM, but over the course of her character development, especially her reformation throughout, like befriending Starlight, there are more genuine flaws that she still has even in recent seasons. I know this site explodes over Trixie, so let's get this started. I don't know about explodes, but okay. One, she's oblivious. I think that's also pretty obvious. In the season 7 episode of All Bottled Up, she often ignores Starlight's bottled up anger and rather focuses on her day-to-day outgoings, despite the fact that she's obviously with her. Often not considering that red cloud emitting out of her horn, let alone her bag, makes Trixie often undermine the consequences. Luckily, she learned that lesson in the end. You think? 2, she's too proud of herself. Again, pretty obvious. Pride being one of the 7 deadly sins due to her referring herself as the great and powerful, makes one assume that she puts herself above other ponies, as she's the one that other must look up to the most. 3, she's stubborn. Yes. The season 9 episode of Horseshoeing, that's her big moment, I think, often depicts her as one to be less accepting of change towards Starlight, such as Trixie not getting vice head mare, including it distorting their social schedule. That says it. That says it all. Yeah, I don't think anything else needs to be said. I have been very polarizing when it comes to Trixie. I get that, her befriending Starlight, the fact that they had, similar past of being, kind of like the left out, the ostracized, having to reform. I get it. But I wasn't a big fan of it. Anytime I see them shipped on Twitter, it's like, no, Starburst is better. I don't know. I guess in a way, like, I tolerated it, but I didn't like it. That's really how I viewed it. And watching a Horseshoeing was just, it was painful. Like, it was painful to watch. And I'm pretty sure I showed that during the blind reaction of it. When Nate and I watched it, it was just like, oh, like, Trixie, you're not getting it. You're not aware of things. Stop the wink. It's too much. It's too much. And it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. She's entertaining. I'll give her that. But again, she's just very polarizing to me. Just very, very polarizing. It's like I don't love her, but I don't fully on dislike her. She's just kind of, I tolerate her. I tolerate her in the middle. Funny, Joshua. Yeah, you saw no problems with that episode. Yeah, wink. Yeah, funny. All right, here's the controversial. FIM is not for left-wing politics, but against it. Oh boy, here we go. I've decided to write this entry after seeing yet again someone saying that FIM is promoting Western left liberal ideals, which isn't true. First of all, the Western left is no longer liberal. It advocates censorship, demands equality of outcome as opposed to equality of opportunity, and in general, modern left-wing activists do everything in their power to deny people their liberties. Second, while MLP-FIM indeed promotes liberal values, in many episodes it also upholds traditional values like family, patriotism, and respect for history. And as for modern leftist intersectional social justice politics, here's just a few episodes that go directly against those. Heartwarming Eve. This episode plays against the narrative that there's only one group that oppresses others and the general notion of oppression hierarchy. Yes, Unicorn Master Race has the upper hoof and magical abilities, but that doesn't mean other tribes aren't just as bad in their prejudices. It ain't easy being breezies. Just replace breezies with any type of minority or disadvantaged group, and you'll see the episode basically tells that you shouldn't pander to people you're supposed to care for or to indulge in their whims, but instead actually tackle the problem they face, sometimes even pushing them against their desires. The cutie map. So many people saw communist ideas in Starlight's town that sometimes they call her Mark's horse. Excuse you. However, in reality, her cult has very little to do with Marx or Lenin and a lot more with modern social justice agenda. Starlight doesn't really care about means of production. Her main goal is equity, also known as equality of outcome, a society where no one can rise above the others in any capacity. In other words, everyone should be just like the rest. Well, that's right. That is right. To change a changeling, an episode I liked, by the way. The whole changeling's history is kind of at odds with let's open our borders so everyone can come in narrative. But after changelings change and embrace friendship, they show an example of enlightened and inclusive community, right? If anything, the story of Pharynx shows is that even an inclusive community is actually not that inclusive, as warrior changelings like him are not welcome in a society that promotes different values. But that's not all. In the end, it's actually conservative Pharynx who is shown to be in the right, as even new and improved changelings are shown to be in need of defending themselves. I can't disagree too much with that. Okay, I can understand that perspective on it. Yeah, that's okay. That's true. The other ones I don't see, but the last two I can understand. Marks and recreation. I bet the whole idea for the episode came after someone compared cutie marks to enforcing conformity of specific roles, like gender roles in society. But even if it wasn't, the way how Rumble argues with CMC about them trying to put him in a box, using all the fallacies imaginable, resembles social justice warriors quite clearly. Plus, we see exactly how his rebellion against oppressive norms actually quite different hidden motives. What? Okay, that one is debatable. Sounds of silence, the aforementioned. While I personally don't see this episode as advocating for free speech, many people do. After all, solve all possible conflicts by not speaking of offensive things. It's what modern left suggests to do. School Raise. The main story arc, season 8, looks like pro-left, right? Fight against prejudice, racism, speciesism. Those are supposed to be main topics. However, who was the main villain in the end? It was Cozy, who actually used every pony's desire to fight prejudice, represented by Naysay, to grab herself power over the school of friendship. Kind of makes you think if real people who claim to champion the rights of minorities can be the same. Wow. Yeah, not. I mean, there are some of those I agree with, but a lot of those I don't see it. Yeah, a lot of those I think is really stretching a bit. I think that there's a lot of stretch on some of those. You're really kind of grasping at straws, I think, a bit there. I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, you're entitled to that, but I can see now why it's controversial because there are only really a few of those that I can really see from the way that you describe it. So, yeah, I don't know. That's oh, crap-a-doodle. Okay. All right. So chat just went unable to connect again. Apologies again in advance. Although, I mean, Josh, you're the only one that's been commenting in the chat, but I can't see the replies. So I'm sorry for that. Again, don't know why YouTube does that, but whatever. Nothing I can do about it. Fan fiction does it better by VBAX. Again, I'm going to find out what it does better. I love the show, but really don't think the writing was as amazing as everyone says it is. Not because the writers on Friendship is Magic were bad, but due to the limits of having to stick to a very specific style to not anger parents. The world Lauren Faust left us after season 2 has so much potential to explore a host of interesting topics, and not being able to delve into some of the weirder ideas about a magical pseudo-tech utopia is where things kind of left a lot of us wanting. Luckily, fan fiction is here to pick up the slack. You can find just about any genre you want with any rating. Maybe someday we will see a more openly themed pony cartoon, but for now it's nice to have a place to find stories that aren't afraid to take some risks. I 100% agree with that. I 100% absolutely agree with that. Because here's the thing. Yeah, Friendship is Magic, with the rating the show had, could only do so much. Like it can only, it can only do certain things, and certain characters go certain directions. It can't get into like the really dark stuff, or what have you, or or like the adult, quote unquote, adult stuff. That's the beauty, I guess, of fan fiction. There are so many different genres and so many different ways of making it, making pony work and really expanding the universe. So yeah, in terms of, so I guess here it is the way that stories are told, is the way the universe is used. And yeah, I absolutely agree with that, because with fan fiction, it's kind of like the other poster said, earlier, you're creating you can either do one of two things. You can build off of the canon that's already there, the show is already done, or you can create your own canon universe and kind of add to it your own way, or come up with your own. So that was Flare Gun, by the way. So yeah, it was Flare Gun's post. So yeah, I totally 100% agree with that. Absolutely. Oh, and speaking of flare gun, leaving the fandom. My question then is, are you? That's an interesting lead in there. Okay, don't let the title fool you. I'm not leaving yet. Whew, good, because I like your perspectives. But there was actually a time I was close to leaving because I couldn't take much more of a nonsensical thing about the show. And when I said I was going to go, people stopped me from leaving. Well, it just shows how much everyone really is my friend here. Aw. But that's besides the point. Even though my mind has been changed, others might not feel the same way. People consider MLP as a safe zone from real life, a place of comfort to get away from their troubles. Yeah. Then there are times when the safe zone doesn't feel so safe anymore, and some content on the show makes them uncomfortable. And in some cases, they want to just quit the show and by extension, the fandom. And what happens is they get shamed for it. Or more recently, with a lot of the drama in the fandom, I'm sure a lot of people have left it for that reason too. I know we all care for one another and don't want any of us to leave, but not everyone thinks the same way. And if they want to leave, we don't really have the right to stop them. We don't. And we shouldn't shame them for it either. Agreed. It might just make the problem worse. So we just got to accept there are people that want to leave the fandom. Another reason includes you just want to quit before Pony Life or G5 ruins it for them. Their words, not mine. I'm glad that you clarified that. Or they just feel harassed by certain people of the fandom. Got to think about their point of view too, not just ours. Sorry it has to be this way, but hey, those who left at least got something out of this, so let's look at it like that. Well said, Flare Gun. Again, your thoughts are really good. Yeah, well said. Yeah, we can't stop people from leaving if they choose to leave, and there could be a number of reasons why they choose to leave. But for those of us that are going to stay in it, we need to be the ones that keep it going. You know, we can obviously try to encourage those people. We can obviously try to tell them to stick it out. But if they have made up their mind, then really we shouldn't keep pressing ourselves. I hate having to come back to this comparison, this analogy, but in a way it kind of is like religion. You can have your faith, you can have your religion, but I've always been of the belief that I don't want to press it on somebody. And I know that the Bible has the Great Commission. I get that. But it does not say, it says go and make disciples. It does not say force your religion on people and Bible thump them in their face. No, it does not say that. So I have always been of the belief that when I have an opportunity to share my faith with someone or tell them about how Jesus has changed my life, I do. But I've been one of, and it's been one of the 3 things I posted on my pin tweet for 2020. Actions, not words, should be the thing that speaks the strongest. I live out my faith more than I speak it, because I've always been a better listener than a better speaker. And I think that's just because I want to hear people's perspectives. I want to hear what people have to say. I want to hear their side of a story. I want to hear what they're doing, what they're going through in their lives. And I want to give them the chance to say that before I then make my pitch, and say, okay, well, that's great, but here's what Jesus has done for me, or here's what the show has done in relating to the fandom. Here's what the show has done for me. So the two kind of tie in together in that regard. So yeah, you can't force people to keep from leaving. You can't force people to keep them to stay. You can't convince them to join you if they don't want to. You shouldn't have to force anybody to do anything. But it's their choice. And if they want to leave, that's up to them. But those of us that stay are going to keep it going, and we're going to keep pushing forward. So that's what we have to do in order to keep the fandom going. So that's really what it what it boils down to. I guess I can clean up the stuff on my chair at least. Again, I apparently had way too much of this stuff, but whatever. All right. I'm looking forward to, again, the last soapbox will be posted, I'm sure, tomorrow. I'll probably share that on the next ATSD in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. Pony Life thoughts, again, just in general. Pony Life, the video of the trailer, I guess, that Hasbro originally posted went private. It completely went private. It went off of their Facebook, off their Twitter, off their social media channels. Completely went down. So once that happened, the immediate reaction was, okay, clearly either A, they've seen the negative feedback and are gonna, and don't like for that reason, or they're gonna, retweak it or what have you, or change something. So even if they're gonna get rid of it, I don't think they're gonna go to that extreme. I think though, the problem that a lot of people had was the song, like the fact, and that was my first thought when I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, why this song? Oh my gosh, the ponies are mouthing good as hell. They're saying hell. And it's like that is, I don't know what Hasbro was thinking by putting that song in a trailer for their next show for Pony. Like I didn't get it. So I was kind of confused right from the start. So I think that was the big blowback, was the reason why it went private. So we know the show is still going to happen because there's still been posts about merchandise and what have you, and things that are out there. So we know it's still going to happen. It's not going away. But I think the fact that maybe they're gonna rethink their usage of media in those trailers going forward, you don't want to associate that connotation with your brand of pony, especially after a successful generation that went for 9 seasons. You don't really want to associate that with pony. So that I think that's why it did what it did. Like I said, I'm still looking forward to it. I'm still, like I said, going to give it its fair shot. I don't want to just disregard it because of how different it looks. I at least want to give it its fair shake. So that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, I was surprised when it went to private, but I immediately thought, I don't think that's a thing they're going to get rid of it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure that Hasbro reads the negative feedback, and I'm sure that they take that into account on some things and look at it. Will that lead to any tweaks? I don't know. We really haven't seen anything after that yet, but the time will tell. So we will see. Sunny Pony Fest. Yeah, this story is actually not as recent as you might think. This has actually been going on for quite some time. This has been a big thing. So let me kind of share the story from my perspective, that how I have seen it. This thing has failed 4 times, not once, not twice, not 3, 4 times. And I guess this is kind of becoming like the MO, the front page of, hey, if you really think you can run a convention, don't. Like, unless you have experienced people behind you, unless you have people working with you that are really know what they're doing, this is the blueprint then of how not to do it. So let me share how this has completely, fallen apart. This actually was originally announced way back way back. This is basically been almost like more than 2, not quite 2 years, probably about 1.5 years, almost 1.5 years long, drawn out thing. This was originally announced on August 17, 2018 as something called Brony Pegasister Con. And they actually had scheduled this for like 2 years in advance. It was supposed to be in July of this year, July 17 through 19, 2020, and it was actually supposed to be in Knoxville, Tennessee. But then one day after that, the Twitter page was gone, and on the Facebook page, it was posted that the convention was canceled due to personal issues. So that quickly dissolved. It faded into oblivion. It was nothing. 2 days later, 2 days after that fact, August 20th, 2018, a new Twitter page pops up. Still that 2020 timeframe, no dates, no location. I personally reached out to this new con page on Twitter, and they told me that, okay, new management has taken over. So hence the re-announcement. And then on August 21st, the name was changed to Friendship Pony Con. So that was the plan then. We just had another, new convention name, but everything else unknown. Flash forward a few months later, October 12th of 2018, the name was changed again to Mystery Pony Con. So again, completely, I'm thinking, okay, it's got to not be the official name. And it only said the venue will be announced early next year in 2019. 1 month later, on November 23rd, the Twitter account was gone again. And I'm thinking at this point, what the heck is going on with this off and on again convention? I mentioned it on Twitter. User named Magma Master reaches out to me and says, okay, the reason why I know the reason why it disappeared, but I was told privately. So clearly this person did not want to disclose why it ended, but all it said to me was, don't expect it to return. So it was dead again. It was dead a second time. Second, well, maybe third time even. Then November 20, same day, November 23rd, that same day that Twitter account disappeared. Now we got something called SunnyCon with a SunnyCon MLP Twitter account. Just came out of nowhere. And actually it appeared 6 days prior on November 17th. No indication of what was to come. So this was attempt number 3. Then flash forward again a few months later, April 2019, Twitter account gone again. No explanation why. This time I didn't reach out because I was wondering, why wasn't anything new information from it? Why nothing like that? Just gone. I search it, gone. Okay. No news on it, no nothing. This is clearly, getting out of control. 1 month later in May of 2019, something comes up called Phoenix Brony Project 2020. Made this big announcement on June 21st, announcing that the Phoenix Brony Fiesta would make its debut September 4th through 6th at the Mesa Convention Center in Phoenix. Don't know how we went from Knoxville, Tennessee to Phoenix, Arizona, but here we are. Changed the name in the Twitter again on November 8th of 2019. This time, Sunny Pony Fest. And they altered the dates of the con from 2 days or changed it to a 2-day con instead of a 3-day convention. And then what happened last month? One day after they opened registration and they even announced their first wave of community guests, canceled again. Site completely closed. Community guests completely bamboozled. One of my fellow friends on Twitter and fellow Starlight fanatic, Taylor McCardle, had that happen to him. And he is now, and he was devastated. He was in shock. He does not think this con is going to get off the ground. And I don't blame him. I know we hate to bring in the fandom, we hate to bring these 3 hideous words up. Las Pegasus Unicon, anyone? This sounds like a complete same thing of that magnitude. Maybe not of that magnitude, because that was just an in-con thing where people had literally scrambled together just to get people, paid and, and sent home safely after that whole thing broke down. But this is a prime example of, how not to get a convention off the ground. You've had 4 opportunities to try to start this up, and you can't even finish it. 4 times, people. And then Taylor posts a thing from Sunny Pony Fest, says, oh yeah, we're not going to believe the negative. We're not dead. We're not this. We're not that. You haven't given it a shred of indication that that's the case. You have no cred right now at all. You don't, okay? The only cred that you have is of the negative kind. You have nothing to stand on, like literally. You've tried each time to have a pedestal to stand on with your announcements, and then something happens, and then whether it's personal issues or mismanagement or miscommunication or something, you can't get this thing off the ground. And this is a clear reminder, and other convention heads have came out and said, I think Everfreeze had it very plainly and said, this is an example of what not to do. If you want to start a convention, either A, don't, or B, make sure you have people around you that actually know what the blank they're doing. Like, seriously, this is getting ridiculous. If at some point you just have to look at yourselves and say, well, we can't do this. It gets to a point where if once or twice I get it, but four times, seriously, that you haven't been able to get this up off the ground. This is ridiculous. If you can't find a way to sort out all this stuff and get it off the ground, it's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. And really right now, like, and Nate has said this as much to me off camera, even on camera, now is really not the best time to start up new conventions, because again, we're in that hiatus between generations. We don't really have much to build off of. You can only do reminiscing on past stuff. We don't really have something new to build off of. We don't have Pony Life or Gen 5 yet. We don't have that to build off of. Now is not the best time to try to start a convention from the ground up. So with nothing to build on it. Now once the new gens come out and we see what we have with those, and maybe they build a following from that, then yeah, by all means, if you can get it off the ground, yeah, by all means. But right now really isn't the best time. So I don't know. It blows my mind how the people trying to organize these things can fail so many times at trying to get this off the ground. And I get it. Like, you're trying to put out there, like, we don't want to give up. We don't want to, we don't want to, say that we're dead. We don't want to, do this, that, and the other. But what credibility do you have to go on right now? Like, you don't have all you have right now is just this reputation of, we can't get this off the ground. Like, that's all you have to go on right now. You're already being viewed and compared to LPU, and that's not a good cred to have right now. So, I applaud the fact you're willing to try, but there's got to be a point where you just look at each other and say, can we really do this? Or have we already done enough damage? Because you got to a point, and really now the other three I can excuse, because it didn't get that far. Like, it didn't get to that level where you actually let people down. Like, the other three, it was, okay, we tried to start it and we had our own internal problems and we couldn't get off the ground. But this fourth attempt was the closest you came, but then you pull it out from under the rug. Like, you literally pulled the rug out from under people that you invited as community guests, and you started registration. When you start letting down people, that's a problem. And I hate to go off in this angry rant, but gosh, when you start letting down people, that's not cool. And I read all those tweets from Taylor, and it hits me right here. You're letting down people by doing that. And you don't give explanations for any of this. And then you have the gall to say, oh no, we're not dead. Baloney! You just closed it. You pulled it out from under the rug. Those people won't trust you anymore. How can we have confidence in that going forward? Sorry, stuff like that just burns me up, man. When I see other people hurt because of the stuff that people do, it hurts me. it hurts me when people I see that I like in the fandom that I respect, when they're hurt, that hurts me. And it's just, and I see that happen again, you know, and I see those posts, and it's like, you've got to be kidding me right now that they did it again. Couldn't get it off the ground, but this time they at least they'd gotten farther than they ever had before, and then they just pull the plug and don't give a reason why and don't tell anybody, and they pull it out from under them. What trust are they going to have going forward with this group of people, or anyone who tries to revive this? What trust are they going to have? If these people try for a fifth time, I'm going to give them one piece of advice. The first thing you do is, you apologize to those people that you pulled out from under the rug. Everyone who had a registration, everyone who was a community guest, everybody, you offer a lengthy, full-on apology. You explain why you did that to them to try to earn some semblance of trust back, and then you go forward. Only then. You have to get that trust back. You have to develop yourself. You have to develop a level of at least some positivity. You have to have something to stand on. Why do you think the other conventions succeed so well? BabsCon, Everfree, when BronyCon was successful, Winnie City, Ciderfest, because they have a reputation, and it's been a positive one, and they reach out via social media and communication. As I've always said, and I will always believe, communication is a two-way street. It is not a one-way road. You have to have some level of trust and communication and a strong reputation to stand on. If you do not have that, a convention cannot be successful. Period. End of statement. Mic drop. So if you're going to try it again, Sunny Pony Fest, or whatever your new name is going to be, get your ducks in a row. Get yourself straight. I applaud the fact that you're at least making an effort. I at least applaud you in that. But if you can't get yourself straight and you can't get it right, it's best to not go on at all. That's really all I can say on that. And again, and I hate that I had to launch into a rant on that, but you know what? It just happens because I'm real, and I'm being real with that. And I will always be authentic when it comes to how I feel about stuff, because that's just how it is. And because again, when I see people in the fandom that are hurting, I hurt myself emotionally. So that's how it is. And you know, it's again, I get it. I get the cliche that, you miss, 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, right now your percentage is 0 for 4, and that's not a great percentage to have. And there eventually just has to be a point where you say, if we cannot figure this out, if we cannot do this the right way, just step back. There's plenty of other conventions out there that are doing a fine job. For now, until we can figure this out, support them. Sometimes the noble thing to do is just step away. That sometimes it might not be the best feeling in the world, but sometimes it's the right thing to do. So I'm just saying, if you can't get yourself in order, it's the right thing to do. That's really all I want to say on that. Shifting, though, to a con that is still going strong and will be coming up here in a couple months. I know that's a weird transition, but this has been a weird episode. Interesting for the 40th episode, right? Winnie City 2020 is coming up here in a few months at the end of March. And, of course, I'm very much looking forward to it, myself, and, of course, Apple Dash and Twilight Harmony. We are unicorn sponsors again this year, all three of us. For another year. So, of course, we are very, very excited about that and all the perks that come with it and the involvement in that. I will say Apple Dash does have an idea for a panel. I don't know if I'm going to do one this year. We'll see. I really don't have any, big ideas this time around. But Apple Dash does have an idea. I won't share it now, but not least till we put in the application process. I did fill out the guest of honor survey. The guest of honor survey is live now. I will say it is only live for 1 week. They're not going to run it as long because the fact we're getting so close to Winnie City. The Winnie City site this year launched kind of late, more late than usual because there was still care from Cider Fest and Charlie was going on, vacations, was very, very busy. Of course, Charlie's always a busy man. I respect that, but Charlie gets the job done. And so Winnie City launched a little later than normal this year. So, it just launched like a few weeks ago. So really the site's not been up very long. The theme this year is superheroes, supervillains, which is really, really cool. So that should hopefully be a really neat tie-in for the convention. But the guest of honor survey is up. So please check that out. Winnie City, I think winniecity.com is the website. Check that out. Again, register for your badge if you haven't already. It's very, very cool. It's always going to be always a fun time when we go to Schaumburg. And I'm hoping this year to do more live vlogging from the convention because for Christmas, for Christmas, I got a Chromebook this year, and I wanted something I could actually take to conventions. It's more portable. And kind of do the more live videos from the convention. Actually, we are staying at the Hyatt Regency this year for the first time ever. The three of us are actually staying at the hotel where the con's being held for the first time. So that'll be really awesome. I'm just hoping to do a little more live vlogging from the con itself. But I did do the guest of honor survey today, and I put in, the usual names I've been wanting to see. And surprisingly, I was able to keep it like under the 14-point threshold. So here's how the survey works if you haven't taken it before. So you have like a bucket of points. Like you have 6 possible choices you can potentially make maximum, and you have 14 points you can use. And everyone that's ever been a part of the show is assigned a point value. Now, obviously, the more notable names, the bigger names are worth more points. For example, Andrea Libman, she's 5 points because she does Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, some main characters. Whereas like a side character would be like a side, writer, what have you, be like worth a point. Now, of course, there are also some that aren't available, like the movie cast. Winnie City will never have the budget, unfortunately, to get those voice actors like Emily Blunt or Kristen Chenoweth or the Storm King's voice, Liev Schreiber. No, you'll never see those at Winnie City. You won't see Kathleen Barr because the voice of Trixie, because she doesn't do conventions. She doesn't do them, period. She loathes them. You won't see Ashley Ball because she's too darn expensive, unfortunately. So yeah, there's some that just don't either are too expensive or don't do them. But there are a lot of options. There are a ton of options from all across, voice actors, voice actresses, musicians, writers, comic artists, so many different roles across the show. And now the majority of mine are voice actors and actresses because I want to meet the characters, the voice actors and actresses, the people that I really liked in the show. So that was mine. Now the top 3 I've been wanting to meet for the longest time, and for those that really know me and know who I liked in the show, that is probably no secret. One is Bill Newton. I mean, again, I wanted to meet Bill for so long. I think he's one of the coolest dudes from the show. He voiced Bright Mac, Pharynx in the Pony of Shadows. I mean, I always liked Bill. His streams are cool on Twitch. Check out his channel. I think he's just a hoot. Kyle Rideout is another. He's my number 2. He's of course was the voice of Thorax, and 3 was Willem Milner, who's the voice of Dragon Lord Ember. So again, I love those 2 characters. I've always liked the dragons and the changelings, so hence they're on my list. 4, of course, are the voices of Smolder and Ocellus. My favorite, of course, dragon and changeling. So that would be Shannon Chang Kent and Devin Dalton. And my 6, actually, and I never thought I'd pick this person at first, but that's Gabe Brown, Black Griffin. And again, and I well, full disclosure, when he was actually at Winnie City the first time I went in 2017, and I had no idea who he was. Like seriously, I had no idea who he was. Because I wasn't into pony music as much in 2017. I didn't really start getting into pony music until I found Ponyville FM in 2018. And that's when I started listening to more and more music and listening to more songs. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's like really good. So like I like a ton of his songs now. With him and his brother Basic and the songs he does with Michelle Krieber, who's of course the voice of Apple Bloom, and like I was just he's just so good. I love his voice. I love the work that he does, and so I had to include him in my choices too. And I was able to keep it under 14 points. I think at like 11 and a half. So still for 6 options, I'm really proud of myself. Like that's really good. So I'm hoping that, and they do take into account, like they will like give more credence, not only to your top 3 choices, but if you've attended Winnie City in the past, which we have every year except the first, because we didn't know about it then in 2016. Yeah, this is the 5th anniversary for Winnie City. Hard to believe, but yeah, time goes fast. But yeah, so they'll take that into account if you've been there before, if you sponsored before, like they'll take that into account too. So really, really neat. I'm excited, of course. We're all excited, and really can't wait to see what they're going to do with this superhero, supervillain theme. So really, really cool. And we're excited to see what the new charity is we're going to pick. Again, for those of you who've forgotten, I mentioned on the last ATSD about the GAB fallout and scandal there. If you didn't remember that, check out the last ATSD episode 39, for that info about that. But yeah, we're interested to see what the new charity is going to be for this and Cider Fest going forward after that. So a lot to look forward to in Schaumburg at the end of March, for sure, March 27th through the 29th. All right, real quick, just want to share 2 more things. I had 2 really neat experiences in my life at last month in December. Really 2 cool events. I had a lot going on in December. A lot went on to end the year, and it was 2 really, really neat events. One, of course, was at one of my favorite places up north, the Mascot Hall of Fame in Whiting. As I had mentioned, I went to the Fur Tie fundraiser, the 2nd annual event up there in Whiting, which is basically, it's their way of, keeping the hall functional. The hall really is able to thrive in the location that it is in Whiting because of the members, because of the supporters, because of all of that. And the coolest thing was, besides other things that happened during the night, which I'll mention, the coolest thing was toward the beginning of the night, I got to chat. I actually got to chat personally with David Raymond, who was the original Philly fanatic and who kind of brought the hall to life. And that was one of the neatest conversations I have ever had with anybody, like seriously. And it was so neat that, because really, honestly, like I haven't really had the chance to really tell people, my background and the fact that I like mascots so much and my experiences and my story. So to have that opportunity to talk to him, because I didn't get the chance to see him at induction weekend, earlier in the year. So, and I told him that straight up, and he said, "Well, it's so good to see you now." And then he said, "So tell me your story. Why are you such a big mascot fan? What brought you here to the hall?" And I think it was so great. And I told him, of course, I liked his book because I bought his book, The Power of Fun. Excellent read, by the way. I highly recommend it. And I told him about how great his book was and everything. And then he wanted to hear my story, which I think is so cool that he's willing to hear my history and my adventures and my moments and why I like mascots so much. So I told him my background and my story, and I said right off, and I'll never forget this. I said, well, Dave, I kind of get, it's funny because I kind of give myself the unofficial title of Indiana's biggest mascot fan. And he, without missing a beat, he looks right at me and he goes, "Well, we can anoint you tonight." I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, Like, that is the coolest thing. Like, I haven't even told him my resume yet and of all my history. And he's just like, no, we'll anoint you tonight. Like, he's believing me like right away. And of course, then I tell him, okay, well, here's my resume. 100 and, almost 150 mascots followed on Twitter. 60 at the time, 67 met in person, now 68. I own like almost 20 mascot jerseys. I've been here multiple times. I'm a member of the Hall of Fame. Providing membership per year. And he goes, oh yeah, well, we're anointing you tonight. I'm blown away by this. The OG Philly fanatic is loving my story, loving my history, and telling me, oh yeah, you're Indiana's biggest mascot fan. We're anointing you right now. I'm like, mind blown. Like, this is so cool. So it was so nice to and he even handed me a business card. And I love that he asked me this question. He said, well, have you ever been in costume before? And I said, no, I really haven't. I've just been like, I can relate to them because I'm like the passionate fan in the stands and they're the passionate ones on the playing surface. And he said, well, what we do is that, one day out of the year, we'll give anyone that wants to come, like kind of like a mascot boot camp, and we'll give them the chance to experience what it's like to be in the suit. And I said, whoa, that's so cool. That is so neat. Like, and now I don't know, like, me personally, like I'm going to be open, like, because I always am. I'm going to be open. Like, I sweat. Like, when I get hot, I sweat a lot, like, legit. Like, if I don't, like, if my deodorant's not working, if the heat in here is turned up massively and I don't have the fan going to balance out the level in here, I get hot and I sweat like crazy. So my fear has always been, like, if I ever did it, and I know they have fans in the suits. I get that. They have like the cooling mechanisms to cool you down. I get that. My fear was that if I ever did it, I would pass out. Like, that's my fear. Like, if I go too hard, because knowing me, I would go hard. Like, I would really get into it and go hard. So then my fear would be like, I'd get so overwhelmed with heat and sweat and exhaustion, I'd pass out. That's my fear, which is why I never like really got into doing it or being like in a fursuit or anything like that, because I feared I'd pass out from the heat. But it was cool that he thought so highly of me and that he was able to, hear my story and embrace it. And another thing that stuck out with me is that he said, I think it's so great that you're a member, because the members are the backbone of the Hall of Fame. This is why you guys are why the building exists. You guys are why we're here in Whiting, because you guys really, your support keeps this place going and enables us to do what we do and keep, add new exhibits and do different events and do different things and add to the class and everything. So that was so great to hear Dave be that genuine with me and to hear him say that. So I took that very seriously, took that very much to heart, and I really, really appreciated the fact that I got to chat with him in that moment. Now, the other cool things that happened during the night, there was a silent auction that was going on, and there was a ton of cool items that were donated by the teams of the inductees and everything, and so many cool things. And there were a couple of items that caught my eye and caught my attention. And one was this big like bundle, like swag bag of Boomer stuff. And Boomer was one of the finalists for the 2020 class from the Pacers. And there was this big bundle of stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to get in on this and see what happens with it. I'm walking down the line, and then I see something else that catches my eye. And it is a San Jose Sharks jersey of S.J. Sharkey, who was another one of the finalists for the 2020 class. And it's a game-worn signed jersey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like just as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yes, I've got to get on this one too. So then it became like a battle. Like, well, if I don't get one, if I clearly know I'm not going to get one, then I'm going to go all in on the other. So that's what I did throughout the night. And I knew that I wasn't going to win the Boomer bundle because I kept getting outbid on it as the night went on, as I'm checking, throughout the night. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm giving up on that one. I'm not going to win that. That's okay. I got enough Boomer stuff as it is. I'm not going to win that. I don't have a Sharky jersey. Like at that time, I didn't have one. So at this point, I'm going all in on it. And for the longest time, like nobody was bidding on it. Like no one was even, putting in any bids. And I started with the minimum bid of like $50. But then it started going, then I started having someone else bid. It's like going up and up. And I'm like, okay, I am not leaving this hall without this. Like at that point, if I'm getting, I'm committed at this point. I'm in it. I'm determined to win this thing. And it gets like a few minutes beforehand, and I put in like the top number again to put up the top. And then the timing of the auction ended, and I'm like, come on, pick up the papers. Let's go, get out of here. And I was in it to win it. And I was determined at that point. And then eventually later found out that I had won it. I was so happy, so excited. Like it was $275, but it's well worth it. So it now, as when I'm watching Sharks games, I wear it. When I'm, I love it. I was so excited. I did the live video on Twitter that night after the event. So I was so thrilled. I was so happy. It was so great. But of course, the best moment of the night came toward the very end when they actually announced who got into the 2020 class. And of course, I had a couple of my favorites that I had wanted to get in. I've been voting for like crazy. Of course, Boomer was one. Blue from the Colts was another. And Sharky from the Sharks was the third. And I've liked those three for years. Like, of course, Boomer was the first mascot I ever liked from the 90s. From the moment I grew up being a Pacer fan. When you live in Indiana, you watch basketball, you watch the Pacers. It's no secret. So, the saying is in 49 states, just basketball, but this is Indiana. That's a thing. So, we watched the Pacers, and this was like the good teams in the 90s, Reggie Miller and Mark Jackson and Jalen Rose, and, later on, O'Neal and all that pre-brawl. But the Davis brothers, Dale and Antonio, Rick Smits, that kind of thing. And there was just something about Boomer that I liked. And then it kind of became like, and I hate using this word, but like I even told Dave Raymond this, like it became like a mission, like for me to meet him, to get a picture with him, to get, something like that autograph, what have you. And I started going to all these events that Boomer was at. And then it just kind of grew from there. After I met Boomer, it's like, you know what? I see all these mascots on social media. I see them on Twitter. I see them on Instagram. I'm not only going to follow the ones that I like and follow as many as I like, but I'm going to try to meet as many as I can. And it just grew from there. And then I started going to events in Nashville at NHL All-Star Weekend at Fanfare. And I went to the mascot Pee Wee game in Carmel for a couple years to be the NFL mascots, and the mascot conference last year in Whiting. I was like, I couldn't tell Dave enough like how blessed and lucky I was. Like the Mascot Hall of Fame is 2.5 hours north from my house. That's insane. Like I'm thinking I don't get that lucky. Like, it's going to end up in like Philadelphia or New York as a major city. No, it's in Whiting, Indiana. Like, how lucky am I? Like that is just a huge level of fate and fortune, for sure. And I'm a big believer in fate in a way when it comes to mascot interactions. But so yeah, and I like Blue for years ever since he got in the league, and Sharky and the Sharks I've liked for years. So I was really voting for them, pulling for them like crazy. And now I knew Boomer could not be at the hall that night because Pacers had a home game that night. Boomer's got to fulfill his mascot duty. I totally understood that, and I knew that coming in. But I did wear my Boomer jersey. Actually, I wore it underneath because you had to look nice at this Fur Tie fundraiser. It's business casual, so you had to look nice. But I wore my Boomer jersey under my nice shirt for luck. Well, it paid off because the first name that was announced that got in was Boomer, and of course I will not lie. I got a bit emotional. I didn't full on cry, but I got emotional because that meant a lot to me. You never forget your first, and it really meant a lot to finally, see him get inducted. So I'll be much looking forward to June when I, go to induction weekend to see him get inducted. It's going to mean a lot, but it's also going to mean a lot because Blue got inducted as well. And that really also is big because, I I know the guy that plays Blue, and he's an amazing individual. He's a man of God. He's I actually I met him prior to that, actually in Monticello, a few towns away from me, at a Colts Fan Fest event. And I met him in costume and out of costume, and I had him sign his book. He wrote a book called "A Blues Road Trip Through Indiana," and I had him sign that. And he said, "God bless you. It's awesome to meet you. It's awesome that you're a big Colts fan." He was very appreciative. And now at the time, like, you hear someone say that it's in the profession, you're like, okay, is that just during the moment you're speaking, or is it actually, legit? Then flash forward to a few years later, I go to the Mascot Pee Wee game in Carmel in 2017, which of course the Colts in Blue host, and they invite all tons of other NFL and other league mascots there for their conference, and they play the game. Didn't have one in 2019, unfortunately. That was a bummer. Hopefully it will return, I hope. But that's a neat event. And, got a picture of Blue after the game, gave him a hug. And I even heard him say, "I appreciate you." And I'm like, whoa, okay. This now is like, this is real. Like, this is now like, this is really legit. And then again, flash forward back to the night of the fundraiser, and when Blue heard he was getting inducted, he's telling everyone, hey, come up on stage for pictures. Come up on stage. And so I, after his group of his entourage actually came up and got pictures with him, and then I said, okay, I'm going to go up there and get a picture. And right away, I mean, obviously you're just looking at the mascot's face, but that inside, Trey had to have known that it was me. Like he had to have known from, all the experiences I'd had with him. Like he's immediately waving me up to the stage. And the first thing I got in my mouth was like, "I'm so proud of you and Boomer. I'm so happy for you both." Big hug. And then I hear him say, "Thank you so much. Thank you for the love, continuous love and support. I appreciate that. It's fans like you that, make the job rewarding. I love that. Thank you." And I'm like, okay, this is real. Like now I know for a fact that it's not just speak. Like this is where, after a while, once there's a pattern going, like, that it's the real deal. And that was just, and I feel like I always wondered, like, over time, like the more I tweet at mascots and the more I tweet the hall and the more I, do that, like, are they really knowing who I am? Like, am I really like a full on, like, I guess, quote unquote, part of the like fraternity? Like, am I really that well known? Well, I think I'm starting to see the answer. I think the answer is yes, because I'm developing these like personal connections with Blue and Blitz from the Seahawks and Toro from the Texans. And Boomer a little bit, and I think Sharky a little bit. Bailey from the Kings, great story with Bailey. When the NHL mascot conference was there, I told Bailey, I said, "Bailey, it's great to see you again." This is like the third time I had seen Bailey, like, because I first met Bailey in Nashville, then I saw Bailey again at the Mascot Pee Wee game, and then I see him again at the NHL mascot conference. And I go, Bailey, I just want to tell you, it's great to see you again. I think that you are the best mascot on Twitter. I don't care how many followers Gritty has. Like, I think you are the OG. And immediately, like, he points right at me, gives me a big old, hug around the arms. We take the picture. And I don't know what he was trying to do after we took the picture, but I know he did like one of these, like the heart thing. I think Bailey genuinely appreciated the fact that I appreciate him so much. Like, I am, now full disclosure, I am not an LA Kings fan. It is no secret that I am not, because I'm a diehard Sharks and Ducks fan. But I respect the heck out of Bailey. Like, I do. Like, because Bailey, if you're a mascot, you've got to have a good use of social media. And Bailey on Twitter is like incredible. Like, he's able to balance between being funny and not crossing the line. Like, he's got a little bit of sass. Yes, he does. But he doesn't go overboard with it. Like, he uses it in a good, like, in a decent way where it's still funny and it's not being like cocky or too edgy. You know what I mean? it's very much on a level playing field. So I think I have developed a strong level of respect for Bailey, both on and off the ice. So yeah, while I can bash the Kings and their not so great goaltender all I want, when it comes to Bailey, I'm going to defend Bailey. And there were some comments recently on Instagram saying you need to get rid of Bailey, you need to fire Bailey because the Kings are so bad. I'm like, whoa! It's not Bailey's fault. Calm down. Back that train up a little bit. It's not Bailey's fault. I am going to defend Bailey always because he's been so awesome. I appreciate everything that he does. So yeah, I feel like I'm really starting to the more I go to the mascot hall, the more I do there, the more I get involved, the more mascots I meet. I'm starting, and even the ones I catch up with, I'm starting to develop really these connections, just go deeper beyond the first interaction. And I think that's what's really cool. And I intend to continue that. I want to keep being a member at the mascot hall. And I'm going to keep supporting that place for as long as it's in my state or eventually maybe does go somewhere else. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but as long as it stays in Whiting or whatever, I'm going to keep supporting it. I'm going to keep, tweeting it and linking it, and I'm going to support that place. I've said as much to the social media team, one of the biggest fans you'll have will be me. And so I will continue to vouch for that place. So it was a great night overall, bottom line, long story short, it was a great night and so much could happen. And I cannot wait for induction weekend in 2020. But speaking of mascots though, I did meet my newest one, number 68, toward the end of last year as well. I made the 3-hour drive to Cincinnati for my first Cincinnati Cyclones game. And that was a very neat experience. Probably one of the smoothest 3-hour drives I've ever had. Really, it's not a straight shot by any stretch from here to Cincinnati, but really it's not that bad. It's really neat. It takes a lot of gas. I will say that it's not going to be like a recurring continual thing. But every once in a while, if I can make it happen, I like to go to more Cyclones games. So the arena, oh my gosh, the arena is amazing. It's very nostalgic. Because Heritage Bank Center, formerly U.S. Bank Arena, has been there for 40 years, and you can sense the nostalgic feel with the roof and the old hanging scoreboard and just it's very, very nostalgic, but it's still a great place to see a hockey game. And the Cyclones fans, they're great. They embrace me right away. They're very welcoming. I will say this. I tell them that I drove 3 hours from Indiana, and they're like, "Oh, so Indiana? So what? You're not Fort Wayne or you're not Indy?" I said, "Well, okay. Full disclosure, I am a Comets fan. I've been playing Fort Wayne games. I like them. Screw Indy though. I don't like the fuel, but they got a chuckle out of that and said, "Oh, don't worry, we're better." Yeah, I can probably make a strong case. No disrespect to Fort Wayne and the Coliseum or the Comets, no disrespect, but Cincinnati's got you almost I don't know about beat, but pretty close to beat. The experience is amazing, the entertainment is amazing, the player intros are a lot better. I like Welcome to the Jungle and all, but Cincinnati got pyrotechnics. I'm sitting in the seat and I can feel the heat shooting off these things as the players are coming out of the tunnel. Holy blank. It was absolutely amazing to see that. And of course the coolest thing was seeing the mascot Twister. I've had a soft spot in my heart for Twister. I think he's so cool. He doesn't do the thing anymore where he will slide across the ice on his head. That was a cool thing that he did. He set the Guinness record for longest time, on the ice, sliding on your head, on the head, which was really cool. But probably can understand why, because probably that head took a lot of damage over the years. You can see actually some pictures where they had to tape the head up because of all the damage it did from Twister sliding so much. So I didn't do that anymore. But they do throw T-shirts into the crowd during the intermissions, which is awesome. And so I'm sitting there. I'm probably where I was at, I was probably maybe a few rows behind the glass on the left-hand side of the Cincinnati bench. And Twister's gathering up the shirts, and I just scream out, I go, "Twister!" And he's looking, and then he looks right at me and perfectly throws the shirt right toward me. I'm like, yes, you rock. Like it was so cool to catch the shirt. And then later on during the third period, I hear, there's kind of a ruckus behind me. I see a kid and his dad like sprinting up the seats. I'm thinking, the stairs. I'm thinking that can only mean one thing. That means Twister's behind me, or the other mascot, Puck Chop, which I'm not really a fan of because it's a pig, and I don't know what a pig has to do with Cincinnati. If someone can explain that to me, please do. And number two, Puck Chop has a statue outside of Heritage Bank Center. Twister doesn't. Where the buck is Twister's statue? He came first. I'm pretty sure he did. Where the buck is Twister's statue? Anyway, I have a bugaboo with that. But anyway, so I that's got to be one of them coming downstairs. And sure enough, it's Twister. So I know that the Cyclones emphasize while the puck is in play, stay in your seat. Well, if the kid and his dad are going up the stairs to get Twister, why can't I? So I decide, okay, it's now or never. I'm not going to get this chance probably again the rest of this night if I don't do it now. So I start making my way up the stairs. Of course, I let the dad and the kid, but although the dad and the kid, were there in front of him, but then they see me sprinting up, like, okay, you know what? Let him do it first. He clearly wants to see Twister. So actually, they were actually very patient. Thankfully, I was thankful of that. But they waited, and I say, "Oh, Twister, can I get a picture with you?" And it was. So Twister is very open, and I want to do the selfie thing, but I'm like, no, let's widen this out a little bit, make a wider picture. And I actually asked the dad of the kid, said, can you please take this for me? And thankfully, he was very willing to do that. He was very willing to do this for me and do that. So thankfully, he was willing to do it. He took the picture, which was awesome, and the game went on. Unfortunately, the Cyclones lost. That was the drawback. The Cyclones lost 3-2 to Kansas City. But it was still a fun night. I had an absolute blast. Cincinnati is a great place to watch a game. Actually, right now, I am actually getting I actually got a retro Cyclones jersey off of eBay, one of the 90s designs that had, so it's a white jersey with like the Twister logo on the front. And actually, I'm getting it customized right now by a local screen printer who actually does work like that. He's actually customizing it for me. He's working on it for a couple weeks. So, and I'm hoping it gets done this week. So yeah. So I want to go back at some point. Granted, again, it has to be when I have enough gas in the car and finances to make it happen. But it's a great place. It's a great way to see a game. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And it was just so cool. So, all right. I think that is where I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I apologize for the chat. I don't know why that just randomly happens. I don't know why. It stops. There are some times where it goes all the way through at the national championship. And then there are times where it just wants to we're not going to do it. So apologies that it stopped in the middle of the episode. I apologize for that. I don't know why it does that, honestly. And I wish there was a way to reboot it, but there isn't. So, YouTube needs to really fix that. They need to add a refresh button on the chat or something. Not the whole video, not the whole stream, obviously, but refresh the chat. So you can actually, if it goes down, you can actually refresh it. So I don't know, but maybe they'll do that in a future update. I can only hope. So the plan now is next week is TTM. Next week is Tracking the Madness. That will be on Tuesday the 28th. That will be the next bracket projection, and then probably ATSD episode 41 will be the week after. Again, they're kind of doing this every other week schedule with TTM and HSD. But also don't forget February 2nd, Super Bowl stream. Super Bowl party stream will be that night. The actual game kickoff is around, I think, 6:30, 6:40 Eastern. We'll probably go live maybe about hour or so before that. Again, to kind of preview things, break down, get ready, that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. I will tweet info on that permitting. So we're just now kind of getting plans finalized for what we're going to do that night, who's going to be here, that kind of thing. So stay tuned on that. So thank you again, as always, for tuning in. Thank you for the words. Thank you for the support. It means just so much. that you continue to support all that I do. So thank you. I appreciate it so much. So until next stream, until Tracking the Madness next week, and then the other streams to follow, as always, I am Spiky Dash. Have an amazing rest of your night and rest of your week. God bless. Ah!